why we should embrace and love challenges and failures. That's what we're discussing today on the Business Coaching Success Podcast. Let's jump in. BJ O'Neill here with the Business Coaching Success Podcast. So glad you're here, where I share with you strategies, tools, and tips to be able to grow your business coaching practice to six figures and beyond as a Christian business coach. Let's jump in. Welcome. Glad that you are here. BJ O'Neill, Business Coach Mastery. We are talking about building a business coaching practice. We're talking about getting traction. We're talking about you as an individual utilizing coaching and consultancy. Well, you want to make 100 grand, 300 grand, whatever. You taking control of life. The flexibility that you want, the escape from the 9 to 5, all these different things. Well, growing anything, by the way, growing any business for that matter, it's the same. So as entrepreneurs, we're just utilizing coaching is a great way. Live where you want, coach where you want, travel where you want, still coach if you want, whatever. Coach 2 days a week, coach 5, just all depends upon your goals. But when we look at how does this work? How am I going to, there's a lot of different ways, to be truthful, that you can do it. You can focus on profits and revenues. You can focus on leadership development. You can focus on team building. There's a lot of different ways that you can build a business coaching practice and what you're going to focus on. But when you look at the word leverage, and if you've never thought about that word leverage, I want to encourage you, that's a big one. Because regardless of how you do it, where you go, who you do it with, how many clients you have, what you charge, all those things, leverage is a secret ingredient that when you understand that leverage and you apply it correctly, you can do coaching way more efficient, earn a lot more by working less. Why? How? That's what we're going to discuss here in a second. If you are considering developing and building a business coaching practice and you just don't know exactly how to start, you don't have the resources and tools, you're curious about what we do at Business Coach Mastery with our done-for-you turnkey solution, you can go to businesscoachmastery.com. That's businesscoachmastery.com. Some information there you can go through and see if it's worth learning more about. If you are interested in learning more, you can book a chat. We'll explain to you exactly what we do, how we do it, all that good stuff to make you, or to put you rather, in a position to go, hey, I think this looks like it's for me. I want to learn more. Or maybe you say, hey, it's pretty cool what you're doing, just not a fit for me. You can make that decision by going there, businesscoachmastery.com. Challenges, embracing them. So leverage. When you look at leverage, it just simply means, in layman's terms, how do I, sail this boat with going with the wind? Because if you turn it around and go the other direction, very difficult to do. Yet, that's exactly what a lot of people do, most unintentional, because we're not asking the right questions. I did this for many, many years early on, because you just don't know what you don't know. Okay? So the first thing is we want to be able to mentally, psychologically, a part of our DNA, I'm embracing challenges and I'm embracing failure. Now, think about that just for a moment. Do you really run to this idea that you're going to embrace failing? Now, look, nobody wants to fail, but it would be incredibly arrogant of ourselves to believe that we can start and grow and sustain anything without having failures along the way. This is the same thing with large companies. This is the same thing with sports, college and pro. I don't care if it's golf, like all of it. You see stories of teams, of individuals where there's challenges. But the question is, what do we do with the challenge? Here's my experience. And I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of coaches over the last many years. And here's the answer to that, to be very frank, is that most people, they don't have an embrace, they have a repugnance to challenge. They have a resistance, a wall. And all that's going to do, if you got nothing else from this message, this podcast, all that's going to do is to bring more failure and more challenge your way. A lot of them have had quit. They get a little bit of abrasion and it's like, this is not comfortable. Well, to find the comfort, you got to walk through some discomfort because there's so much that you're going to learn along the journey. So the first thing is just simply having an embracement to the concept, to the idea. Now, I'm not suggesting that you stay there. I'm not suggesting that you want to fail forever. No. But you're just going to have, and I'd say you're going to have more of the term, what's going to fall under the term failure in the beginning. And then as you figure things out, you're getting clients, you're making money, making real money. I think the rest of it becomes challenges as much as failures, although you could still make a bad choice, end up in a bad partnership, relationship. Sometimes it happens. It's not frequent, but it does happen. But they become challenges. Regardless, you want to embrace them. Here's why. When we have the attitude and the appetite of embracing them, that's the catalyst for growth. Process that. Write that down. Read it to yourself every day. If I want exponential growth, what's a catalyst to it? Embracing challenge and failure. I'm going to say it again. If I want significant growth, what's a bedrock thing that I need to do? That's to embrace the challenge and the failure. Now, I will tell you quickly that we don't want to just repeat the same challenges and failures, and that's what we're going to talk about next. We want to embrace them. We want to understand them is the second part of that. If I'm embracing them and now they begin to happen, I need to step back and make some decisions to figure out why. Okay? In simple, let's say that like in our system, we give our coaches in our done-for-you practice, we have software that produces an assessment. And that assessment, we can sit down with a prospect to show them how they can earn an additional $100, $200, $300, $400,000 a year or so and with financial impacts and whatnot. Well, if I sat down and did 10 of them, 20 of them, 30 of them, and I'm simply not being able to convert any of those prospects into ongoing high-paying monthly clients, if that's what's happening as a part of it, then I don't stop to analyze, ask questions, get feedback, get help somewhere, then I'm not just embracing the challenge, I'm embracing continuing to do the wrong things. We don't want to do that. The strategy, back to the word leverage, is being able to identify them quickly. So as a part of your plan, your process, the things that your affirmations, the things you write down, you wanted to build this muscle that recognizes friction, that you can deal with it to make a change, a shift, introduce something that you need to do, whatever. But you can't do that if you're not embracing them. Because when we're not embracing the challenge and the failure, we ignore them. And that's what a lot of people do. Oftentimes, we're not even realizing we're doing it. And that's because we're not open-minded to the challenge and the failure. Okay? So many years ago, one of my favorite mentors in the world, John Maxwell, privileged to be a founding partner with the John Maxwell team. Did that back in the beginning when he began to do Maxwell Leadership Program in 2011. But he tells a story that often, certainly at least he's told it for many years, but it happened a long time ago. When John was a pastor out in California in the early years, he was having some challenges with growing the church as a young pastor. It's very normal, very typical in growing a church at that age. You don't have a lot of experience. You have some people who are just trying to, who are you to be able to do this at such a young age, blah, 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 blah. And so he went to his mentor. And he was describing and discussing the challenge of what's going on, and he was very frustrated. He, being John, was very frustrated because he felt like a failure. Like all this stuff, the things he wanted to do, it just wasn't gelling, wasn't coming together. And here was the profound message from his mentor. He said, John, you're not a failure, but you are experiencing failure. And that's powerful. And now he took that, and not only did it help him to get through those challenges, learn from them, grow from them, clearly he did, but it's also been a catalyst of a message that he has of influence to millions of people worldwide. And so when we look at that, when we're embracing the reason why people don't embrace the challenge and the failure is that they don't want to feel like failures. I don't either, and I know you don't either. When we separate it's not about I'm the failure, I'm just experiencing failure. When we understand that, that puts us in the seat of saying, okay, this so far isn't working out the way I want it to. And by the way, sometimes it actually is working out. The question is, are you reasonable? Do you acknowledge the fact that that's maybe your expectations were not even in line? Happens all the time in life. So we think things that are failures are really not. They're just part of the process. Little side note there, okay? So we want to embrace it. We want to understand it, that we're not a failure, but experiencing failure can actually be a catalyst to growth. Here are the consequences, or one of those key elements of understanding. We want to embrace it, the importance of that. We also want to understand by avoiding the challenges, there's consequences. So as a part of your DNA, a part of your muscle memory, when you experience the challenge, when you experience the failure, you need to know that if I don't deal with this and embrace this, there are very large consequences on the backside that are going to show up along the journey. Okay? One, it can cause stagnation of growth when you avoid the pain. Okay? Two, oftentimes we're not even avoiding the pain, we're delaying it. And so here it is. It's February, let's say, and, I'm experiencing this. This is uncomfortable. I don't want to deal with it. And we just ignore it, because if I ignore it, then, I don't have to worry about it. And all of a sudden it's July. Guess what? Pain shows up anyways. And between February and July, not only did pain show back up, but it drug a bunch of stuff over the next 4 or 5 months. I learned this, especially when I was younger. It's very natural to want to avoid the pain, but there are consequences. We don't want to do them. Okay. So don't delay the mistake. Embrace it to say, well, what can I do to mitigate it? How do I learn from this? And here's another one. How can I teach others the same thing? Because we have an episode, I think it was one before this, called The Aha Moments, is Ultimate Flex. One of the ways that you're able to embrace and help entrepreneurs and business owners grow, not just profits and revenues, but in key areas that they're working through, the challenges. Well, you can share the challenges that you've gone through, and you can work with them and help them get through theirs by embracing the failure to not repeat it. And I think that that's where a lot of people get kind of wrapped around the axle, is that they think by embracing and acknowledging and warming up this idea about challenge and failure that we're going to be here a lot. And actually it's right the opposite. If you want to experience less of it, experience more of it in the beginning so you can make better choices, grow your understanding, really have a good level set knowledge of what not to do. And guess what? Then the turbulation is significantly less. You'll always have some. Life is life. You probably know that. I don't have to explain that to you. But oftentimes, lots of our challenges, lots of our failures come at the hand of our decisions. Well, if you're not learning from your challenges, if you're not embracing them, you can never get beyond them. You'll just simply delay them, and then they get bigger until eventually it can have a very significant punch that it didn't just hurt. It stings. It has a long-lasting sting to it. So the message here at the end of the day, as you're building your practice, your consultancy, as you're working with others, as you are adding influence to others as well. A part of transformation for yourself to get a catalyst for growth is to embrace, recognize. You can even put this in a systematic way. I use a planner, by the way, that has a reflection to it about the month. And that part of that reflection is, what didn't go right? What didn't go well? So sometimes, not even sometimes, but systematizing the question and the process can help elevate what they are, deal with them, so you don't have to repeat them. And when new ones show up, they can be minimized because you have a plan and a process to curb them. So even if you don't use a planner or whatever, even just asking monthly, all right, I'm going to looking at the rearview mirror, of what worked, but also what did not work. Oftentimes we want to just look at the celebratory. Well, what didn't work? And even those things that we delayed because we don't like them, it's another chance to grab them so we can solve them and do something about it. Okay? Hope that meant something for you today. I hope you got something out of it. Here's my encouragement to you. Don't let it be information alone. Get traction, take action, move forward. 1% a day can change your life in a matter of months. All right? Until next time, take care.